appearance object makes it easy to change the default font of all DevExpress controls in your application or even with a single grid. Here's how to do it. First, let's create a new WinForms project. We'll drop an XtraGrid control onto the form. Let's hook up this XtraGrid to a data source so we have some data to work with. Drop a panel on the form and add 2 buttons to that panel. We'll add the following labels to our buttons. First is Show Form 2. We'll use this to pop up a second form so you can see the effects of changing the font across the entire application. Second is Change XtraGrid Font. This will change the font only for the XtraGrid on this form. We'll add a second form to the application. We'll keep the default name, Form 2. On this form, we'll add another XtraGrid and bind it to a data source. To make the effects of subsequent button clicks more visible, I'm going to add a property that randomly generates a new font. That helper method located inside form1.cs looks like this. Inside Form1's constructor, let's add a line of code to change the default font for the entire application at startup. On Form1, double-click the Show Form 2 button to create an event handler for the button's click event. Inside that handler, add the following code. On Form1, double-click the Change XtraGrid Font button to create an event handler for that button's click event. Inside that handler, add the following code. This method relies upon 2 other methods to set the font. And that's it. Let's run the application. When the application starts and the form's constructor is called, the default font property and appearance object is set. Here we can see Form 1. And then when I bring up Form 2, the default font has changed in both. Now let's close Form 2 and go back to Form 1. Let's click the Change XtraGrid Font button. This will call our setGridFont method, which iterates through all views associated with the grid. It then calls setViewFont, which in turn iterates through all appearance objects in the view's appearance, setting the font property appropriately. Remember, when you need to programmatically change the font, the appearance object class is the best way to go. To change the default font for the entire application, set the appearance object static default font property. To change the font for all the extra controls in the grid or view, use the helper method shown here. Thanks for watching, and thank you for choosing DevExpress.